Hi, I'm Natalie, and I'm the founder of Dignity Project, DBA Well-Grounded Coffee. And welcome to our podcast, Turning Trauma into Triumph. We have a very special guest, Richard Miles. He is the founder of another nonprofit, amazing nonprofit called Miles of Freedom. And today we just want to listen to his story. His story is certainly turning trauma into triumph in a very unique way. And so, Richard, I kind of want to just open it up to you and just ask you, like, what was your childhood like?
Yeah.
And then, obviously, you were married when this occurred, married with children when...
Not yet.
No, okay, okay.
Not yet. I was way too young. I was 19.
Okay.
When my life took a turn.
Right.
But first and foremost, man, thank you for this opportunity. Congrats on this amazing space and everything that Well-Grounded is doing. And I'm just super excited to be a part of this podcast. But yes, my name is Richard Miles, and I'm born and raised in Dallas, Texas, Oak Cliff.
Yep.
To be
That's
exact.
where our second coffee house is.
Oh, for real?
Have you been down there yet?
I haven't.
Okay.
Well, see,
our
now I
next
gotta put
visit is going to be at the other coffee house then.
Well, that sounds like a plan.
Okay.
That sounds like, budding seeds everywhere. I
Yes.
love it. I love it. But I mean, I grew up in a very, I define it as a very spiritually guided household in Oak Cliff. My dad was a minister, disabled veteran, and he was my stepfather, but we did not use that word growing up. He was my father in the house. So my mom married him at a very early age of mine, and so I grew up with two younger brothers and an older sister.
Okay.
My mom worked at Head Start, which
Yes.
is, early education. She worked on Sunnyvale and Oak Cliff, and my dad, even though he was a disabled veteran, he took up the task of scrapping. And so we would drive through the neighborhoods and look for washing machines and old
Little
hot
businessman
water.
then.
Yes, strip it down, take it across the scales in South Dallas to get monies and things like that. And so my youth was very family oriented. Outside of family things, education was paramount. So growing up in Oak Cliff, I went to Lisbon Elementary, then I got accepted in the Longfellow Academy in North Dallas. And in my high school year, I got accepted in the Skyline High School.
Nice.
And this was like far beyond anything that I ever experienced or wanted. I got engaged in the plastics engineering cluster. So this was when they had a lot of vocations at Skyline. I'm not sure if they still do now. I hope they do.
Yeah.
But I love plastics technology and everything about it. And upon my graduation, I was going to go to TSTC in Waco, Texas State Technical College, because that took a deeper dive in the plastics field.
Okay.
But obviously, as I'm quite sure we'll get into later on, life took me on some journeys, some hills and some valleys.
That you would have never chosen for yourself.
That I would not have ever chosen. However, as the song says, when I look back over my life, I can see how the Lord has been blessing me. And so my path has been covered. I am locked and loaded. I have my plans in, so I sat and talked with my mom and my dad upon graduation. And I wanted to move out. I mean, I'm 18 years old, and I feel like I had checked the box. And grudgingly, my mom was like, no, you don't really have a solid plan. But we had already went to Texas State College, and I visited and passed the test. And I was working at McDonald's, and I knew the manager. And so my ideal plan was to move out, move in with the manager, and eventually get ready to go to college to TSTC in Waco.
Right.
So
and
I
something
moved
interrupted that.
Something interrupted that. So I moved out, and about a year after I had been out, I had got me a girlfriend and everything. She stayed in North Dallas. She stayed in Oak Cliff. I stayed in North Dallas. And one night, after visiting my girlfriend, the buses had stopped running, and so I told my friend to drive me back home.
Okay.
I stayed on Crest Haven and Bluffview in North Dallas. We left from Oak Cliff. He had a girlfriend that stayed on the corner of University and Roper. So in the route of us coming back to North Dallas, we got to his girlfriend's house first. So instead of him passing her house up, I decided to walk the rest of the way home.
Okay.
It wasn't that far. Paid my friend $5, got out the car, walked up University, made a right on Lemon Avenue, walking in front of the Sewell Cadillacs, right by Signature Airport. Bluffview is the street that connects Lovers Lane and Lemon Avenue.
Okay.
I made a right down Bluffview, and I had to stop at the Red Coleman that sits on the corner of Lovers Lane and Bluffview because this was way before cell phones.
Yeah.
And I had to call my friend who I was staying with. Hey, I'm right here. I don't have a key. Can you cut the alarm off? It was about 1:30 in the morning.
Okay.
And so I woke my friend up that I was staying with. He unlocked the door apparently and hopefully. And as I hung up the phone, I noticed a police car that was idly sitting facing Lovers Lane on Bluffview. I didn't really pay any attention to it. Crossed the street, walked beside the police car as I'm walking back to the house. The next thing I heard was a helicopter, police sirens from everywhere, and then the commands were, get on the ground, get on the ground. So I'm 19 years old.
I bet that has replayed in your mind over and over again.
It's like it was yesterday.
Wow.
You know, it literally, you know, the just reminiscing on it, some things never change. And so I'm laying down on the ground, I'm 19, and these officers come up to me and they're saying, where's the gun, where's the gun? And I didn't have a gun. I'm like, I don't have a gun. So I'm handcuffed and I'm placed in a police car. I'm literally in the front of my yard. And I'm placed in this police car, and I'm telling the officers, I said, man, my friend just dropped me off. He's at his girlfriend's house right around the corner. And they was, when you get downtown, just talk to the detective and it's gonna be okay.
Okay.
So
you're thinking, this is a mistake, it'll blow over, I'll be back in bed here.
I'm good. The truth shall set you free.
Right.
Growing up, this is what I was taught, right?
Right.
And so I'm in the back of the police car, and instead of going straight downtown, we stopped by Bachman Lake. And it used to be a Texaco that sits on Northwest Highway. And I remember going behind the Texaco, and they took me out of the police car, and I seen ambulances, I seen police cars, I seen people standing all in front of the gas station. Someone comes up behind me, and as I'm in handcuffs, they're putting some stuff on my hands. I didn't know what it was. I later found out it was a gunshot residue test. And I didn't find this out till later on. So I'm put back in the police car, and I'm taken to Capers, Crimes Against Persons, which is downtown, and I'm introduced to my detective. And I'm in a room, it's one table, two chairs, and he sits down and he asks me where I had been. And I told him everything that I pretty much just said, but I provided phone numbers, 5 phone numbers. I gave him my girlfriend's phone number. I gave him my friend that I stayed with phone number. I gave him the guy that drove me home, his number, his mom's number, and his girlfriend's number, because she knew we was together. 5 phone numbers I provided to the detective. No statement was taken from me, but the detective left out, stayed gone for about 5 or 6 hours. And he came back in and he said, Richard, your story's checked out. I said, yeah, I told you, you know. He said, but we have a person that say they saw you kill one person and shoot another person, and you're gonna be arraigned for murder and attempted murder. So
at this point, you had or hadn't spoken with your parents?
I hadn't.
No, nobody.
I hadn't talked to
I can't
anybody.
even imagine how frightened you felt.
I was arrested, taken to Crimes Against Persons, told the detective everything. Hadn't talked to anybody outside of the arresting officers and the detectives, and now I'm being escorted to Louisburg County Jail. Hadn't got a chance to talk to anybody yet. I'm arraigned for murder and attempted murder, and I'm assessed a bond for $350,000. And now I'm in the holdover with the opportunity to call my mom and my dad for the first time, and this is kind of like the following morning.
Right.
And I think I woke up my mom, and I began to tell her what I had been through, and my mom told me something. She said, Richard, we know that you're innocent. Yeah. And it was as if my mom's spirit was there with me all the while, you know. My dad, being the very spiritually guided, religious individual, you know, he was all about the truth shall set you free. We were not financially able to afford free world attorneys. And so we began a journey of a wrongful incarceration through the assistance of the court-appointed system.
At this point, you still are probably hopeful. This
very
is all going to
hopeful.
work itself
Because
out.
growing up, because growing up, you know, you looked at the system in general as a system of protection. You know, I used to watch the Perry Mason shows, and all of them shows where the attorney really.
That's amazing that you had that experience, because I'm guessing other people did not have that experience of looking at, you know, this system as a system of protection.
True, because when I was growing up, it was the stranger danger. You know, it was the police officer as your friend. It was that culture that I grew up in. The street lights better not go out.
Yeah.
Go off before you're in the house.
Right.
And so it did challenge my upbringing.
Sure. And so court hearing after court hearing, and
I stayed in the
did you
county
start
jail.
losing hope?
I gave up hope 17 months after I was in the county jail. I ended up going to jury trial, and I got a total of 60 years. 40 years for murder, 20 years for attempted murder. And the interesting thing was, nothing presented in trial really convicted me. The description of the shooter was 6'2", 6'4". Didn't fit my description. It was 10 witnesses that seen a crime. 9 of them said it wasn't me. A gunshot residue test was brought forth that was really negative. The Innocence Project found out later on, but it was testified as positive.
Oof.
Nothing.
So you went to prison. Was it 15 years?
I stayed incarcerated a total of 15 years.
15 years,
Yes.
based on one person's eyewitness.
One person's eyewitness. The interesting thing was that one person was the only one behind the Texaco. So when I was arrested, this is what you call a one-on-one tainted identification process. The police officers should have took me straight to capers, but they exposed me to one of the witnesses. And this was the only witness that picked my picture out of the photographic lineup. And even the photographic lineup was tainted because I was the only person in the photographic lineup with a white tank top on, which was the description that all the witnesses gave. So it was a lot of things that could have happened differently, I think, that would have yielded a different outcome.
Right. So you go into jail one night, age 19, and you come out of prison at
the
age
of
34.
2009.
Amazing. And I'm listening to your voice, and I'm not picking up bitterness in your voice. You have every opportunity to be bitter and angry.
Yeah, and I've had every opportunity to overcome it as well.
Okay.
And during that transition, I was able to overcome, because I grew up in church, I grew up spiritually, and if I believed in the scriptures and I believed in Joseph, then here I am, living a real scriptural life, and faith is the only thing that's going to transform it.
Wow. So how did things start turning around?
Yeah, so I got to Cofield Unit in 1997, and the first person I met in the barbershop was a guy named Ben Spencer. And Ben Spencer was cutting hair, and you go to the shop to get assigned to your dorm and your work area. And I'm telling Ben that I just got 60 years and I've been locked up a year and a half. And Ben finished cutting my hair, and Ben said, "Man, look, I've been locked up 10 years. He said, I'm innocent as well." He wrote the address to Centurion Ministries, which was an innocence organization in Princeton, New Jersey. He said, "They've been working on my case. If you're really innocent, you need to write them."
Wow.
In 1997, I wrote my first letter to them.
Okay.
And they wrote me back.
So Ben gave you a bit of hope.
He gave me a bit of hope. Ben was the harmonica in the Shawshank Redemption movie.
Okay.
You have to have something tangible.
Yeah.
You know, at some point, faith has to manifest to something tangible in order for us in the fleshly realm to remain optimistic.
Yeah.
And so Ben was that spark. And so I wrote him, and this began a 10-year dialogue.
Wow.
Between me and a caseworker at Centurion. Fast forward, I filed my own writ of habeas corpus 1107. It got denied. I was helped by another guy that was wrongfully incarcerated. In 2007, on lockdown, Centurion accepted my case, purchased all my transcripts and my police records, and mailed them to me. And it was on this date that I sat down for the first time and read my transcripts, because we couldn't afford them. In the police reports, the first thing that I saw was a phone call memo made way before I went to jury trial. A young lady who was getting beat up by her boyfriend had called the police and told them that her boyfriend had been bragging about killing one person and shooting another person.
Wow.
A year ago in May, he used a 9mm and he was at Bachman Lake.
Huh.
And you all have the wrong person locked up. This was in the police files, way before the jury trial.
Wow.
And so you call this Brady violation, failure to disclose exculpatory evidence favorable to the defendant.
Right.
There was 3 documents in the police files that was never turned over during trial that would have excluded me from being the suspect. This is what Centurion used to unlock the door, and I walked out of prison in 2009.
Amazing.
With further investigations to prove my overall innocence in 2012.
So you were not only released, though, you were fully exonerated.
Yeah, so I was released in 2009. I was fully exonerated in 2012. So what happened in between then, the Conviction Integrity Unit that was started by District Attorney Craig Watkins and the Innocence Organization Connected, the one person that testified against me was coerced by the prosecutors. They also hired a gunshot residue test analyst to address the gunshot residue test that was submitted, and it was negative. The guy signed an affidavit recanting his identification. Swift recanted their testimony for the gunshot residue test, and the evidence that was never turned over that was in the police files before trial was disclosed, ultimately leading to ex parte Richard Miles, which is a landmark case citing now. If a person is wrongfully incarcerated with no DNA, you can use my case to build your claim of actual innocence based upon prosecutorial misconduct, tainted identification, and faulty scientific evidence.
So there's something that is now in place because of the 15 years you suffered.
Yes, yes.
And then talk to us a little bit about your nonprofit.
Yeah, so I started Miles of Freedom in 2012. Texas has a compensation that individuals that are wrongfully incarcerated receive. And to me, my dad had passed 6 months before I got out, and so what is $1 million? I got $1 million. And it was at night that I was like,
you can't get those years
you can't
with
get
your
it
father
back. And so like, how can $1 million save 1 million lives? And so Miles of Freedom was born, and Miles of Freedom was born not because I was innocent, but because I was in prison. And I grew up with a lot of good men that had made some bad decisions, but was also in an environment that was not conducive for change.
And that's what we do around here at Well Grounded.
Yes.
You know, we give second chances.
And you create this environment to whereas you have been in places where God has created value for you and in you, but the environment has taken that out. So how can we create an environment? And so that's what Miles of Freedom is.
Yeah.
Miles of Freedom's mission is to equip, empower, and educate individuals, families, and communities impacted by incarceration. And we've been doing this for 13 years. We have case managers that work with individuals that are coming home from prison or just been out and want a better job, want a better place to stay.
A path, just a path, right?
Or a community to be a part of, right? That belongingness. And if we can create that, then we do that. A food pantry, partnering with North Texas Food Bank, where we've distributed almost 4 million pounds of food, not just to people that's coming home from prison. This is anybody. No zip code restriction, no income restriction, anybody dealing with food insecurity.
Would you say that has been a part of your healing process to be able to help others?
Oh, it is, because we've never received an apology, right? And to come out and to walk with a constant state, and in a constant state of humility, you still need therapy.
Yeah.
And sometimes therapy may not come from a person, but it comes from what we do with our trauma.
Yes, purpose.
Can I do something with my trauma that's going to be therapeutic for me? And Miles of Freedom is this place of therapy for me.
Yeah. I feel just exactly the same way, and I've told people that because, you know, people come into the coffee shop and they learn about our mission, and they're like, oh, wow, you're just such a good person. And I say, I'm not. Doing this work heals me.
Yes. Oh, man.
And it's really true, isn't it? When you come through your own trauma, really pouring out to other people, and just journeying together. Is such an important healing.
It is. It is. I mean, it's like we can't help anybody not acknowledging in places where we're broken. Because I think in the places that we're broken is where God uses us. That's why he wants a broken and a contrite. So if I hide my wounds, that may be the exact area where grace is going to pour out of me and connect with somebody else. And so Miles of Freedom is that broken space for God's blessing to flow through me, that we're able to impact others.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
I love it. And I love it that you could have become bitter, but you didn't.
Right.
You might say, instead of bitter, broken, and allowing that brokenness to bless others.
That, that should be the tagline. Don't be bitter, acknowledge your brokenness, because that's where the healing begins. That's what the therapy is. Right? And it's been an amazing journey. We have an amazing board of directors that's worked with me, that's entrusted this mission, our staff, but most importantly, the people that bring their lives to us.
Yes.
That's the most important thing, as you know, about this nonprofit space. It's not the grants, it's not the donors, it's the people that walk in with their brokenness and say, can you help me?
The courage to ask for help, to try something different when your trust has been broken again and again.
And who am I? What have I done to even be a recipient of helping you, right? Or helping the next person?
Yeah, it's so true. When I first started hiring the baristas and I would watch their journey, a lot of them just gotten custody of their kids back. They're living in some kind of transitional home program. They're getting on a bus. They're taking their child to daycare, getting on another bus, coming to work, working a few hours, and doing the whole thing in reverse. It takes a lot of grit and courage to do that day after day. And just for me, just to be able to even be a part of their journey, it's amazing, humbling.
It is. And it keeps us humble. What is the thorn in our side? That keeps us from too much pride.
Like
I
Paul.
think that we do, like Paul, our work is our thorn. It keeps us humble, right?
Absolutely.
And so I'm just super excited for you and the work that you all are doing, the baristas. Congrats on your recent celebration, and I will be there. Your recent gala, and I will be there next year, April 24th.
But you have a gala coming up in October, right?
Yes, we do. Miles of Freedom is celebrating 13 years of service. We'll be at the Dallas Renaissance Hotel, October 25th.
Nice.
We have an amazing fireside chat with Sean Rabb, Fox 4 News, and attorney Brittany Barnett, who's done a lot of great work in the criminal justice space. We'll be acknowledging some members that came out of Miles of Freedom, as well as other reentry organizations. So that's the other thing we do. We acknowledge other organizations.
Yeah, we have to support each other. We're in this together, and often we're serving the same people.
Yes.
Well, I will be at your gala.
Thank you.
100%.
Thank you.
And you're just an inspiration. An absolute inspiration. If you had a moment, and you do, to speak to people who may be losing hope, who may be in a dark spot themselves, like Joseph from the Bible, like you, what would you want to say to them?
Wow. I mean, I think the first thing that I would tell a person that's in a dark place is always remember that you are the light. And if you're in a dark place, understand that God has already given you the ability to shine. The other thing is to embrace reality. We have to embrace the reality, whether we're in a situation because of our own doing or because we are being tested and tried. We can't avoid our realities, and always understand that you are still a light, even in the darkest places of your life.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for the opportunity and the freshly squeezed
lemonade with strawberry.
Yes, I'm advertising.
Thanks for joining us today, the amazing Richard Miles with Miles of Freedom, turning trauma into triumph. What an amazing human being Richard Miles is. I'm so grateful that he was able to join us today. And when I think about his story and how easily he could have become bitter angry, and really his life taken a whole different path. But instead he chose a path of forgiveness. And for that, he's now inspiring so many people every day and uplifting other people who have a similar experience. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Turning Trauma into Triumph.